We have largely conquered the night. We live in a world saturated by artificial light, surrounded by a constant hum of electrical stimulation and digital connectivity. Because light and entertainment are so abundant, we easily fracture into our own individual worlds. A modern family can spend an entire evening under the same roof, yet exist in separate rooms, each person focused on a different screen. Contrast that with rural India in the 1990s. The barometric pressure drops, the wind starts howling through the palm trees, carrying the thick threat of a monsoon storm. In that era, the local power grid was exposed and fragile. The moment the storm hit, the transmission lines failed, plunging millions into total darkness. It is strange to think that a massive infrastructural failure could be a highlight of someone's life. Yet, for a generation who grew up with these blackouts, the memory remains one of the most comforting of their childhood. This nostalgia grew out of a specific environment created by the failure, the arrival of the shared dark. How we interact with one another is often dictated by the physical layout of our resources. When the power dies, the scattered nature of modern life collapses. You can no longer do homework isolated at a desk or listen to a radio across the house in the kitchen. Every individual task hits a hard stop. Light becomes an extreme scarcity. A single kerosene lantern is suddenly lit, producing a tiny, fragile sphere of visibility. That single light source exerts a physical gravity, pulling dispersed household members into a single, overlapping radius. The darkness beyond the lantern acts like a wall, shrinking a sprawling house into a tiny, makeshift room. This lantern engineered a temporary architecture of family intimacy. The blackout also creates a massive auditory reset. The constant drone of ceiling fans and buzzing tube lights dies instantly, leaving a sudden, heavy void. As major distractions vanish, our focus shifts toward microsounds and microsights that are usually drowned out. The environment floods with granular textures. You hear the drumming of rain hitting a tin roof, the hiss of a meal being cooked over an open fire, and the smell of wet earth and roasting spices. Without the rapid pacing of television or digital media, the evening slows to a crawl. Dinner becomes the main event. Even the shadows cast on the wall by a flickering candle become the primary source of visual entertainment. To fill the quiet, the older generation turns to oral folklore, family history, and ghost stories, relying on human voice to occupy the silence. The blackout paused productivity, making room for the simple act of being together. Eventually, the grid surges back to life. Harsh fluorescent lights blind the room, and the fans roar back into action. The psychological effect is instantaneous. The protective wall of darkness drops, and the family disperses, retreating back to their isolated rooms and individual screens. Modern infrastructure has brought vital convenience and safety to these villages, but by fixing the grid, we have also removed the involuntary intimacy that came with its failure. The monsoon glow describes a luxury currently in short supply, being completely unreachable and undistracted. We do not need to sabotage our power grids to find that feeling, but if we want to reclaim it, we have to be willing to cut the signal and deliberately orchestrate our own forced pause.